Okay, welcome back to the Adventure Within channel. My name is Andrew Fritz. I'm a clairvoyant, healer, and meditation teacher. In this video, I'd like to talk about mediumship and specifically how sometimes we can get owned by one particular entity. Um, and usually we have an agreement or spiritual contract with that being. And what do I mean by owned? I mean that, it's all about that being and only that being, meaning a lot of people, I don't know how aware they are when it comes to mediumship, that it doesn't have to be about just channeling one particular being, that we're just beholden to them and we can't channel other energies or other entities, because you can channel many different energies and you can work with many different types of beings. And, when it comes to mediumship, there tends to be a lot of fear around it because the first part of mediumship is that it's your way to get out of the body consciously and effortlessly. And from there, you can do many things. For example, astral travel. So sometimes there's just a fear about traveling, away from the body, so to speak. And am I going to get lost? Am I going to be able to find my way back? And then, what's out there, on the astral and these different dimensional levels. And then with mediumship specifically, gosh, if I'm channeling, am I going to get possessed? Am I not going to be able to take control over my body? And is something going to get messed up here? Um, the way that I was kind of taught, and I love it, that you work on running your trance mediumship energy and you raise your vibration to a high level that it's not going to be a concern with these lower level type beings. Um, which is nice. That's kind of a relief. You don't have to really worry about that. And that kind of frees you up to work with these other beings. And sometimes we get caught in that it has to be only higher level beings. And that is fun. The end of last year was kind of working with Jesus Christ, and that was really awesome, the divine masculine. Really powerful healings. So it's something definitely to explore, absolutely. Um, But you can also work with beings that are just like you and me, that maybe aren't fully ascended or, completely enlightened. And they're still kind of playing this game of incarnating and learning and growing and evolving. And you can work with them as well. You might even have agreements with them, or you've had past lives and you still have karma with them, and you get to work through that. You can update these agreements and bring in more in the present time, or you can end the agreement. You can clear the karma, and you're just freeing yourself up. And you get to work with all these different other beings. So it's kind of fun to explore, and it's not this thing where, oh, I can only channel this one being, and I'm beholden to this being, and I can't work with anybody else out on the astral. And yeah, it's just something that I thought would be important to bring up because I don't know how many people are really aware of that. Mediumship is such a big topic, I think, especially kind of in the spiritual community on YouTube and all that. I just don't know how many people are really aware of what it's truly all about. Some people think it's just about communication, letting something else come through and the information kind of flow through you and to another person or a group or a large audience or whatever it is, and that's great. But what about, this is something we tend to forget is, you know, that's information coming from another entity. What about your own information? This is something that it seems like um, I don't see a lot of actually. So when I do see it, um, I really admire and respect that is when someone is really um, has a strong connection with their own higher self, and that they're tapping into their own truth and answers and information. Um, and they use that to kind of guide their life. They're really in alignment with that higher part of them that's not limited to this lifetime. And that's something that we can all do. That we can tap into that higher part of ourselves to guide us in our own life. And, we can, use our higher intuition to kind of help with small things in life, just kind of in our day to day into like bigger life decisions. Absolutely. that we don't have to be seeking our answers outside of ourselves, out in the world or from in books or other entities that we might want to like work with or channel and all that. You can definitely communicate with them and hey, they might have some things to say and share and it's might be interesting, but at the end of the day, what is your truth? And so that's an important thing there. And another thing is, sometimes we just think it's about, the communication, from another entity through you and again, going to one or multiple people or larger audiences. And, with mediumship, a big part that I was unaware initially that I really have a great affinity for is the healing component of it. And of course, communication can be incredibly healing, but there's these trance medium healings. And I just recently did a video on this talking about trance medium healings and astral body healings. Yeah, but trance medium healings, it's really powerful that it's, yeah, someone that the healer, the channeler can channel a particular being. And not only in that process will they be giving, say, another person a healing that they're working with, the healee, but also the healer is getting a healing as well. And these are really pretty simple and powerful and effective healings. One of my favorite healings actually now. It's it's very different from getting a psychic reading. It's very just more straightforward and simple, more healing focused. Whereas, if you get a reading from a clairvoyant, it's all about someone looking at colors and more usually mental image pictures and someone describing those and the energy of it and all that. Where, a trance medium healing, it's less about someone describing to you these mental image pictures. It's more just, hey, here's an energy. It looks like this color. It's releasing from this part of your body. This is the quality of that energy that you're releasing out, or these variety of energies that you're releasing out. And then, okay, underneath that, hey, this is your color. This is your energy. And that's pretty much what it is. But it is very powerful because they're inviting you to come to a higher vibration, and that in itself is a healing if someone can get up to that. Even just taking a step up is a healing, but getting up to that higher vibration, absolutely. And in that process, especially if you reach that higher vibration, you're just purging out all these unwanted energies. And then you just get to embrace more of, oh, your energy that might have been covered up or just kind of stuck. And we all know what it feels like to be stuck. And when our energy is freed up and things are kind of smooth sailing. So, but yeah, mediumship is a massive topic. And I think it's something that I'm still learning about and growing with. And I think a lot of people are aware of mediumship, but don't fully understand all the possibilities with it. And I find that because usually when you do think of mediumship, it's just it's just these, the archangels and these certain ascended masters, and that's awesome. That is a part of it for sure. Um, but like a traditional spirit guide, usually a spirit guide, a traditional one usually has past lives, and that's why you might recruit them as your spirit guide, whether it's temporary or a little more long term, because they have information and abilities that can help you in, say, one particular incarnation. Because when you're setting up your lifetime, you have, in a way, people talk about life reviews, maybe when they're crossing over, or even people that almost have like a near-death experience where their life flashes before their eyes. And similar in that matter, you when you go to set up your life, you're essentially choosing your parents, specifically the mother, because that's kind of who you're being born through, right? Um, but you can kind of watch and kind of, oh, okay, well, if I actually choose, and usually there's options, and you kind of narrow it down. But when you've narrowed it down, you're kind of looking at, oh, okay, if I choose this mother, then that means there's this father. But then, oh, okay, well then if I'm being born through them, then where on the planet will I be born? And what are the opportunities there? And what kind of programming might I take on? What difficulties might I face? And you set this all up. You have an intention of what you want to work through. And oh, do you have, prior agreements or karma with these particular two souls, your parents to be, and any other people, in the family or whatever it is. And you can kind of watch this unfold in a certain way where you might go, oh, here's some areas of my life where it's going to be quite challenging, and I might need some assistance. And you might go and recruit spirit guides, um, and you might set up agreements with them. Hey, I might need some help, and if it works between both of you, you set the agreement up, and bam, they'll be there to assist you. And yeah, for a lot of people on the planet, they're usually unconscious. That they have a spirit guide when they're actually born in the body and going about their incarnation, their life down here. And then there's people that they turn on their psychic abilities and they can go, whoa, okay, yeah, hey, here's this spirit guide. And if you go as far as actually remembering, oh, wow, the time you actually set up that agreement, and oh, why did I set up that agreement? And you might have to get some of your answers on that. And that's the fun thing about meditation and turning on your abilities. You get to become aware of all these things, and there's so much to see and to you know look at energetically and understand. But it is incredibly exciting, and that's what I love about all these abilities. But mediumship is definitely a fun one. Um, and the first part of it that a lot of people miss is just getting out of the body effortlessly, consciously. And from there, you can go and astral travel. And, with astral travel, that's a skill in itself. You can travel around a particular dimension if you get, to a point where you can really start to, hop different dimensions, dimensional hopping, like it's Frogger or something like that video game. Um, and then you can do that and see these kind of different levels of different realms and realities, so to speak. And um, it's interesting. And what I like to do is work on my clairvoyance first before I get to that, because if I can learn to meditate in my body and turn my clairvoyance on, I can start to see. Because sometimes, if you have an out of body experience, you you might not even know where you are sometimes. Um, and so it's nice to be able to, whether you're planning an astral travel experience or you've had one and you come back, being able to look at it clairvoyantly and go, "Oh, what was that all about? Where even was I?" And the whole spectrum of, the lower levels of the astral to the higher levels, and all that, you kind of get an idea. You get to use this clairvoyant ability to see, oh, this is where I at. This is where I was on the particular part of that astral. So I do think it is pretty nice to have your clairvoyance on first prior to, say, working mediumship. And like I said, the first part of that is just getting out of the body effortlessly and consciously. Um, and that's, yeah, you can go to different levels and then you can start to interact with different beings. And oh, okay, now that you start to become aware of these different levels and where these different beings are, you can start to communicate with them. And you might find some interesting beings to go, wow, okay, this being would be, um, it would be because you don't even have to channel them. You can just be out of the body and communicating with them. Um, and if it looks good, then you can kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, this would be good for healing. And um, then you can kind of bring them in and channel them. But it does help to have the clairvoyance turned on first so that you can really see all this. Especially when you're interacting with a being, even if it's in the body or out of the body, you can really kind of um, take a look at their energy and you can kind of see, is this gonna, really work for me? Um, and you can kind of set up an agreement with them, whether it's temporary or kind of long term, and it's entirely up to you. Sometimes we think it has to be this long-term thing, and it could just be this one-off thing. that you channel them and work with them. It doesn't have to be this super long contract, or okay, I'm going to have to work with this being for lifetimes. It could just be a one-off, and that's fine. When it comes to channeling beings just for oh yeah, I just want to channel them and let them communicate whatever, to whether it's for yourself if you're recording it, or if it's for other people, that is coming from another being, something outside of yourself. It's not your answers and your unique truth. So it's just something to be aware of, that a lot of us tend to miss. Like I said earlier, you can really connect with your higher self and let that bring that information down. And people talk about getting downloads, and um, oh, okay, well, what if you're in alignment with that? What if you're bringing that in for yourself and your life? Um, and that's definitely different than, okay, well, this being told me this is how to do this and that, and okay, that might be helpful or interesting, but at the end of the day, what is your truth on, you know, being able to manifest or whatever it might be? A lot of people don't look within and access that. It's always kind of accessing it through something else. So I think it is important to just kind of highlight these things about mediumship, that because I just don't think a lot of people are aware of that.